Guys, welcome back to video 2 in this masterclass series about how to build $1 million a month, not a year, a month wholesaling business. It's an entire masterclass that I'm doing with Rob Wensley. Rob, thank you again. Absolutely. And if you guys missed the first video, be sure to check that out. There's a playlist in the description below. We're gonna put all of these videos and create this series and put that in that playlist. So you wanna watch that first. We covered the misconceptions about building a wholesaling business. And we're gonna try to do this series in order from like you're starting to scaling, building, getting to that $1 million a month level. And I've got the #1 expert who has his ear to the pavement. He's networking with the top wholesalers in the country. They're on the InvestorLift platform. So Rob Wensley does know exactly what is working the best right now as of this recording and for the foreseeable future, because the market's shifting. You gave some great ideas in the last video about, where we're heading, what the wholesaling industry is doing as far as the type of numbers that can actually be accomplished in this business. It's staggering what you can do. And so on this video, Rob, I'm really excited because we're gonna talk about really going from like your first deal to the intermediate level, which is just really creating some consistency, maybe doing 3 to 5 a month. Yeah. Would you consider that like an intermediate wholesaler?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, most people would be ecstatic to go from their first deal to 3 to 5 a month. I think going to 3 to 5 a month is really doable. Mm-hmm. You can get there faster than you think. And oftentimes it's just some consistent, doing some consistent things and you're there. Like it's not as overwhelming as most people think. So you've got some great ideas around exactly what that looks like. But first, let's start with proof of concept. I love to call it proof of concept. What is so magical about that first deal and why is that so pivotal in someone's journey?
Yeah, so the first deal is when it becomes real. It's all theoretical until you actually do it and it becomes real and you get that first check wired into your bank account. The feeling, by the way, you will never have that again.
Oh yeah.
You will never have that again.
No.
You'll do a deal 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger, but you'll never have that same feeling as the first deal.
It's like they say when people do crack or heroin, like the
first high is the best, and you always chase it. Yeah. I haven't tried that, but it's probably
so I heard. My first deal was $6,000, and I'll never forget that moment. I was driving my little pickup, and he called and said yes, the cash buyer, and it was a $6,000 assignment, and I hung up, and it could have been $1 million, right? Yeah. And now I've done $1 million plays on one deal, and it wasn't nearly as exciting as that first $6,000 deal.
Absolutely.
So it's true.
It's true. Now, here's the thing. Most people are going to give up before they get that first deal. Okay. I'll tell you a story. Nick Perry. Have you ever met Nick Perry?
I know of him. I'd love to meet him. Do an intro for me. One of the top wholesalers in the country.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great guy.
So if you listen to his story about how he got started, he was working at Indeed, making $200,000 a year. The first thing you got to do, by the way, your step 1 is just get your first deal. Step 2 is going to be replace your income. And then step 3 is going to be replace yourself. That's how you're going to get those 3 steps sequentially is how you're going to get to 3 to 5 deals.
So get your first deal, whatever you got to do. Replace your income, which means go from a side hustle to a business to full time. Yeah. Right. That's replace your income. To third one, replace yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll go through all 3 of those.
Okay.
In this video. So the first one is getting your first deal. You might get lucky. There's some people I've met that literally like the first person they called. Yeah. I think Eric Klein was one of those guys. Eric Klein, you met Eric.
Yeah, great guy.
Mm-hmm. Eric, like literally the first person he called.
Was a deal.
And he was hooked.
He told me that story and I was like, he probably turned around and told everybody, look how easy this is.
Yeah, right? I mean, he's a God tier salesperson, but most people are not going to be that lucky, okay? Like Nick Perry, when he got started, so he's working at Indeed, and what he would do is he would just, pound the phones when he got home in the evening, send out text messages, and then schedule appointments, go on appointments. It took him 2 or 3 years, and I think he said that he went on over 170 appointments before he got his first deal.
170 appointments. So this wasn't just on the phone. This was get in your car, drive out, meet a seller.
In a different city too. He would drive to another city.
Meeting sellers, walking properties, 170 some
And then, but fast forward 3 years later, he comes on InvestorLift. In his first year on InvestorLift, he sold homes in over 44 states, I think it was. 44 states. And now he lives in a penthouse in Panama, like $50,000 a month place. Like he's set, you know?
Yeah, he's doing good.
But imagine if he gave up on appointment 169. Mm-hmm. He'd still be stuck in his 9 to 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell people, so that's a great story, but I tell people it's going to take 100 bona fide legit offers, not analyzing, not talking, but like a real offer in front of a seller or an agent, and you'll get, like my promise to people is you'll get a deal.
Yeah.
And I found that most people that take that challenge, within 100 legit offers, not follow-ups, but like new offers, they'll get a deal.
Yeah.
You know, in his case, it took 175, so it might take more. But the point of that is, I say that to most people, and they quit before they get to 100. They're like, this is too hard. I can't handle rejection. So I think the point is, first of all, is you have to be very real that in the beginning, it's harder. Mm-hmm. It's going to take pounding that pavement. It's going to take rejection and trying to learn what to say and how to say it and what's a deal. All those things are so difficult in the beginning, or can be.
Now, the real secret, so I agree, I love that, the 100 offers, because I agree. I'm like, unless you're a complete moron, if you make 100 offers,
it's a numbers game. If you just lowballed 100 times, all the stars are going to line. Someone's going to say yes.
Yeah. So I love that. Now, I think if you want to do it even quicker than that, the real secret is all about communication. That's people, this drives me nuts. I meet new wholesalers and they're like, oh, I have $10,000 that I've saved up and I'm going to use that
in my new business.
Kick off my new wholesaling business. And what do? They buy a website, they print out business cards, they get a CRM, they spend all this money on all this stuff that does not matter. You literally don't need anything other than a cell phone and a laptop to get rolling.
Yeah.
Okay? The biggest thing you should be worried about when you first get rolling is your communication skills. Sometimes when I go to conferences, I'll meet people and they'll ask me like, hey, I'm trying to get my first deal. Like, what is some advice? And they're very like passive personality, like really timid, shy, quiet. Mm-hmm. If that's you need to find a partner who is really good at sales and really good at communicating. Because if you're not a good communicator, that's what's going to prevent you from getting your first deal.
And why is that? It comes across to sellers?
Because the thing
lack of confidence.
All we do is solve problems for people. Okay? That's all you need to focus on when you're trying to get your first deal is find people with really big problems and communicate to them very clearly why and how you are the best person to solve their problems and how you're going to solve them. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's the only thing I would focus on.
That's wholesaling.
Just find people with problems and explain to them how you're going to solve their problems for you and why you're the best solution for it.
I like to say, if you want to make more money, solve bigger problems or more problems.
Yeah.
And that's how you make more money, because that is what the market will compensate you for, solving problems for people.
Yeah. So if you're timid, shy, like it's not going to work out. Go find someone who can go fill that role. Like guys like Eric Klein, the reason why he comes and has so much success is he's got the exact personality profile and communication kind of style that works really well in this business.
Like even when I interviewed him on my channel, it was a live like this, sit down.
High energy.
Loud, high energy, passion. Like just,
if he called me, I might sell my house.
Right? Yeah, just energy, right? And so that comes through.
It comes through. It's not about what you say, by the way. It's not about what you say. It's about how you say it.
Yeah.
Communication is what, like 95% nonverbal. It's all about the tonality, body language, having confidence. So that's all you got to worry about is being a really effective communicator. And if it's not something you're naturally good at, I would recommend find someone that will work with you, where you maybe are like the marketing person or the tech person, and get someone in that role that's really good at sales.
What's your opinion about scripts for somebody new? Having some scripts. How do you feel about that?
Are we talking about on calls? Like
seller scripts.
Calls?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't like scripts because they sound robotic. I like a process.
Okay.
Like Eric does this really well. He has like people like write down account numbers and like, okay, and he does the 3-minute holds and
does all that. Yeah.
But the biggest thing you got to do when I'm training sales teams, the first thing is I don't care if they have any real estate experience. In fact, I actually prefer that they don't have real estate experience. It's actually easier to start off with someone that has zero real estate experience.
Because they're teachable.
They're teachable, but the real estate is a distraction. They'll start comping the property.
Yeah.
We're building these mega wholesaling teams. The salespeople do not comp anything.
Yeah.
They do not come up with they don't even get trained on comping. They never look at the actual properties.
Yeah.
All they're trained to do is figure out 2 things. Number 1, do they have equity? Because if they don't have equity, unless we're doing creative finance or something, which like when you're trying to do volume, that's too hard to do at scale.
Yeah.
So we're wholesaling. So do you have equity or you don't have equity? If they don't have equity, we're not going to be able to. It's instant in the bin. Refer it out to a realtor. Do they have equity? Number 1, and number 2, do they have motivation? Do they have a problem that needs to be solved? If they don't have a big problem, they're not a fit for us. Refer them out to a realtor. On to the next one. So
the details can get sorted out later.
The details will get sorted out later.
Yeah.
Right. So that's all you need to do is like when you're calling people, like the process is you're going to qualify or disqualify, and they need equity, they need motivation. If so, they're qualified, and then you start getting into.
I love that, guys. That's really cool. That really breaks it down and simplifies it. Here's my kind of take on scripts for like a new investor is, start somewhere. So if you've got some scripts, but like I provide my scripts, here's my seller scripts, here's my agent scripts. I provide those, I give them to you for free. If you guys want them, I'll put some links, you can have them. But just keep in mind, this is what I've created from my experience and what I like to do and how I like to approach the business. It's kind of like Jerry's scripts.
Yeah.
And you need to take those and adapt them. And try to do what Rob said, look at the bigger picture. It's more about trying to find out, is there motivation? Not it's how you're saying it, the objectives you're trying to get to, less about, did you say it exactly like this? Did you ask this question or this question? And those are all things that you can easily learn, but what is it you're really trying to communicate and accomplish? Understand that. And you'll naturally tailor the conversation to that person's specific needs.
I think if you're just getting started out, look at scripts because you'll have no idea.
It's a starting point.
You need scripts as a starting point if you're starting completely fresh. But then as you get into it, then start adapting. Because what's going to happen, the script is going to work for the first few minutes of the call. And then if you're having success, you're going to actually start talking to them about their life.
It's going to customize real quick.
I'll give you an example. And this is how you take your sales skills to another level. There's problems, and then there's problems, the real problems behind the problems.
Yeah. Did you guys catch that? There's the problem they're going to tell you, and then there's the real problem they're not telling you.
And then there's the motivation that is clear and visible. I need to sell my house. Yeah. And then there's the motivation behind it. I'm going to give you an example. This is from one of my last deals. Lady calls me up. She's got this house. It was in, I think it was in Torrance, California. And she inherited it. And she had a back injury, really bad back injury, and wasn't able to work anymore. So what she did is she actually took this house in this beautiful neighborhood, ARV probably like $1 million, 1.2 million. And she had taken this house and she basically built almost like a hostel inside. It was charging people like $500 a month for
an addition.
She took the living room, open concept living room with 30-foot high ceilings, and built drywall 12 foot by 5 foot.
Like cubicles
that people could rent for $500 a month.
Oh my gosh.
The whole house was full of people, 20 people. That was her source of income. But she was getting tired of it. She was getting tired of basically running a halfway house, and she wanted to sell. You don't get to that in the first 5 minutes of a conversation, okay?
Because she's embarrassed or...
Embarrassed a little bit. But then, I always ask people, okay, if you sell, where are you going to go? That is going to give you more information. She's like, well, my daughter is in university in Georgia, and she's pregnant right now. And I want to be close to my daughter and my, future grandson or granddaughter. That is a really strong motivator. To be closer to family, very strong motivator.
That drives you to make choices.
Yeah. And so we're going through all this, and I'm like, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to sell? And she's like, well, yeah, I'm a little scared because I'm making income here. I'm just worried I'm not going to be able to do that when I get down to Georgia. And then also, as I'm walking the property, I'm like, it's a beautiful backyard. I'm surprised you don't have a pool back here with all the space. She's like, I've always dreamed about having a pool because that's the only thing that relieves my back pain. So now I got a lot of information. Now what I got to do is craft picture perfect for her. Now her house, my offer, she got it for free, and I knew my offer was going to be at least $650 on this thing. So she's walking away. She inherited the property. She's going to be walking away with the most money she's ever had in her life. Georgia's a lot cheaper than LA.
Where the daughter is with the grandbaby coming. Yeah.
So I found her a brand new build, beautiful, looks like a show home
with a pool,
with a swimming pool in the backyard.
I knew that's where you were going. Yeah.
Right off campus, so 5 minutes off of campus, with 3 bedrooms upstairs, one for her, and she want to have her daughter and her new grandchild coming. 3 bedroom upstairs, but then also an income suite in the basement with 4 rental units with separate entrance and exit. And I looked up,
she rents.
She rents, and she needs a source of income.
Yeah.
So now she's got an income source. She's replacing her income source. She's got a pool in the backyard. She's close to her family.
All the problems.
And you know how much that place costs?
How much?
$250.
So now she's got $400,000 in her pocket.
I said, make sure when you walk with this money, get a wealth manager. I'll tell you which wealth managers. Take that $400,000, invest it with a wealth manager, and you'll get income off those investments. That mix with the income you get off your income suite, you're going to be set for the rest of your life.
So it's not just here's my offer, I'll get you out of this property. You took it a whole nother step and said, here's what her problems are. Let me go solve these problems for this person.
That's how the top sales teams in the country do deals, because no one else goes that far, right? They just say, how much do you want for your house? Oh, I want $500,000. And they look on Zillow and the estimate's $500,000. They're like, sorry, it's not going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
Hang up, on to the next one. Stupid.
Yeah.
Every single person I've ever bought a house from, sometimes people will say, I got lucky. I was going to offer $250 on this thing, and the person asked $200.
Yeah.
That's never happened to me. Every single person I talk to wants full market for their house. But unless you can get deep into the issues behind the issues and the motivations behind the motivations, you're not going to uncover those things. And until you uncover those things, you can't paint picture perfect. Sales is all about taking someone from current state where they are not happy with where they are and they have problems to where they want to go. Yeah. And all they need is a guide to take them there. So you just got to be that guy, figure out what their picture perfect is, deliver on it, and just package it up with a bow and give it to them.
Yeah.
And you're going to that's how you get the most profitable deals. Dude, I had one guy on my sales team. This is another funny story. We're going long on this video, but it's another funny story. Ray Falchuk, he was the master of this. There was one person, they inherited a house, and the daughter it was inherited by a few people. One of the daughters didn't want to sell the house because she was like, no, I think my mom would be upset with me if I sold this house. I feel like her spirit is here and she might be angry. So he went out to the house and they did a whole ceremony and sprinkled out her ashes and everything and asked for a blessing and all this stuff. And that's what it took to get the deal.
Yeah.
A lot of times with older people, especially, that same guy, he'd be out on a Sunday with his buddies helping someone move. Older person, or if people just needed $5,000 cash advance or $10,000 cash advance to hire a moving truck, whatever it is, go the extra mile.
Yeah. We did a deal in Michigan. Frank was his name. And he was a hoarder. And we did a rent back agreement. So let him stay in there because he needed time. We moved all his stuff that he wanted to keep into storage. Threw away everything else, which was really challenging because he was literally sat there in a chair when we were like this, okay, dumpster. And we had to convince him to throw away like everything.
Yeah.
And we found him a new apartment. We took some of the proceeds for that and all of this. And we got this phenomenal deal, made a ton of money. And this guy literally and his wife literally were like hugging me, crying, thanking me for all that we did to help them. And all we did was we just figured out what are all your problems? Let's solve them. We can solve these.
That's what always bugs me when people are like shit on wholesalers. I'm like, the work we do, the work that the top wholesalers do on a deal compared to what a real estate agent does.
Oh my gosh. No one would do it. Yeah. No one's going to do all of that.
What real estate agent does stuff like that?
To solve all those problems.
No.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. So we're talking about, getting that first deal. You gave some great ideas.
Yeah.
What now does it take to transition from proof of concept, getting a deal, to the intermediate level of the 3 to 5 a month consistency? What does that look like?
So once you get your first deal, it's going to be 10 times easier to do your second one. So it might take you a long time to get that first one, but once you've done it, you've gone through all those steps. Typically the next one, the next 2, the next 3 they're going to happen pretty quick. So when you get that first deal, you're going to get a big check, probably the biggest single check you've ever got in your life. What the idiots do is they take that and they go up to the nightclub and then buy themselves a new Rolex. Okay? Do not be the idiot. When you get that money, do not spend it.
Yeah.
Okay? What you got to do is, I would recommend take half of it and kind of put that in like a kind of cushion, right? Bank account. And then take the other half and then reinvest it.
Yeah,
okay. Because now you have more working capital. So reinvest that. If let's say you make 20 grand in your first deal, that'd be a pretty average first deal. So you got $10,000 banked away. That's for your quitting your job fund. And then take the other $10,000, roll that back into marketing. If you're getting, let's just say 5x return on ad spend on that, you should be able to turn that in under 60 days into 50K. Like that should be another 2 or 3 deals.
Right.
Okay, so you got 50K. Now you bank away $25,000 of that, roll the other $25,000 back in, and then now you got enough working horsepower now to, that 250. If you invest that and you get 5x, that's over $200,000 a year.
Now you're off. Now you're going. Yeah.
Now you're off. And then plus you got $35,000 sitting in the bank as a cushion. That's when you go to your boss and you quit your job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Walk in, quit your job, go full time. Okay. Now, when you first get started, so that's step number 2. You gotta quit your job, and when you do that, it's going to get way easier. Like you said, it took you like a year to.
Because now you can put all your focus on the business.
All your focus on the business. So it's going to get way, way, way easier. And now when you're first starting out, all your marketing is going to be outbound because you have a lot of time, you don't have a lot of money. So you're going to have to do texting, you're going to have to do calling, things like that. Basically all outbound marketing. Okay? Where you're going to someone, you're trying to find intent, find people that have motivation.
Outbound means you're reaching out to a seller in some way.
Absolutely. All right, so step 1, replace your income. Step 2 then is you're going to have to start replacing yourself. Because there's so many different moving parts in a wholesaling business. It's easy to do everything yourself when you're doing a deal a month. But once you start trying to get to like 2, 3, 4, 5, it's impossible to do that all yourself, unless you're a superhuman. But even if you're a superhuman, you're gonna get burnt out.
Well, I've seen the wholesalers that do that, and they basically replace their 9 to 5 to
another job
with even more hours.
And
that's not the goal. The goal isn't to work more, even if you're making more money. Yeah. That's not the goal, right? So that's not the goal, is to work more, even if you're making more money. It's not to work harder and longer and replace your job with another job. Like that's not the goal. So I think you're right. I think what I've seen in my experience is people can get to the 1, and maybe they can even get to the 2, 3. I've seen some people get to the 4 and 5 a month as like a solo show, a solo.
Really hard to do though.
But and if you are doing that, you're working your butt off because you're doing everything, right? So people start to look at it and say, okay, what's my first hire? How do I start to replace myself from doing everything? What does that look like?
Yeah. So I think the first hire you got to make is going to be, I'm going to assume for the sake of this video that at this stage in your business, your marketing is outbound, calling, texting. Okay. And you might be doing that yourself to start, right? You might be literally cold calling yourself, texting yourself.
Not a good use of time, by the way.
Not a good use of time. So the first thing you got to do is replace that. Okay. If you haven't done that already. So you're going to want to have, a cold calling company, or your own in-house VAs that are doing that outbound marketing, finding those people that have some interest and then lobbing those qualified leads over to you.
Yeah. So all they're doing is they're pre-qualifying.
Yeah.
Right. Basically
pre-qualifying.
Do you want to sell your house? Great.
Yeah.
That moves up.
Absolutely. And then it gets passed over to you. So that's absolutely essential. And that's really cheap. There's not really any reason to have a US based employee for that. Get a VA, $4 or $5 an hour.
Yep.
And that's going to be easy for you to afford, and probably the best investment you can make. Now you
couple
just
$100
turn yourself into two of you for like a few $100 a week.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's going to pay for itself over and over. But be really picky about who that VA is. That's going to be you're the first person you hire is going to be really critical. Even if it is a VA, like your success or failure, a big part of that is going to be based on how good that person is. So again, make sure that person has really good communication skills. That's going to be key.
One thing I found with the VAs is, there's lots of countries that are good, but we like the Philippines because their accents are like non-existent. So you can almost not even tell.
Yeah.
Whereas other VAs like India, maybe it's really thick accent, makes it more challenging to communicate. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's a good move. Philippines, Mexico. Mexico is good too because, or even anywhere in South America because they're on the same time zone, number one, but then also they can speak Spanish.
Yeah, which is helpful for a lot of markets.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be your first hire. Then people always ask me, okay, what's your next hire? Is it an acquisitions manager? Is it a dispositions manager? Do I need someone to help me, basically close more deals or sell more deals? I think the natural next hire after that is going to be an acquisitions manager.
Yeah.
Because dispo, if you have good tools and you got a good buyers list, you can move deals pretty quickly. What you really want to focus on is just getting more revenue into the pipeline. Actually, dispo is where you want someone that's a really killer negotiator. It's actually, if you're like the number one player on your team, your time is actually better spent on dispo than it is on acquisitions.
Gotcha.
Right? Because you can only get a seller down so far. You can get buyers up, I think, a little bit easier. It depends. It really depends on the deal. But dispo, I think you keep that in-house. That's what you work on. But then when you get the leads in, next hire is to have someone that's just going through the leads and trying to close those deals. Okay? Now, the mistake that people make is they train those people on real estate, or they hire someone that has a real estate background.
Like an agent or something.
Yeah. Agents. First company I worked at, the whole team when I walked in was agents. We'd be running TV commercials and the calls are coming in. These TV commercials we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars
expensive.
a month. And the thing with marketing is it's all about speed to lead. When someone calls you, if you don't call them back within 5 minutes, your chances of closing the deal go down 21x. Your lead's dead. You spent hundreds of dollars to get one phone call.
Because they're calling the next guy or they're not answering or whatever.
And what we're finding is that when we're hiring real estate agents, if you're a good real estate agent, you're making a few $100K a year, right?
Yeah.
So the only real estate agents that are looking for jobs at wholesaling companies are kind of like the deadbeats that are lazy and like we're spending millions of dollars on marketing and people are spending an hour and a half at lunch and it's taking them 2 hours to call back a lead.
Yeah, that's
been my experience. I'm sure there's some great realtors out there, but then also they get so fixated on the real estate because that's their background.
Yeah.
They don't realize the real estate doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Like the house doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like,
and when you say the
price
real
for
estate,
anything.
you're talking about values, condition, the house.
Yeah, they get on the phone. Oh, how many bedrooms? Oh, how many bathrooms?
How old's your furnace?
How old's your furnace? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. All that matters is do they have equity? Do they have motivation? So the best thing they do is find people that have really good sales experience. You can find those people like one of the tricks that I would do is go into car dealerships.
I was just thinking of that. Yeah.
Yeah. with no intention of actually buying a car, but like go on some test drives and see if you can find someone that, even though you don't want to buy a BMW, will almost sell you a BMW. And then try to coach them to come join your team, because they can make a lot more money in wholesaling than they can. Actually, the top performer on acquisitions I ever worked with, we took him from BMW.
Gotcha.
And he went from making maybe $150,000 a year at BMW to maybe racking in like 300,000 plus his first year in wholesaling.
Yeah. So acquisition sales coming from another industry, bring them over to the real estate, train them the right way, which is not to over focus on the real estate. And they've got great sales skills, great communication skills. They're going to kill it in real estate.
Other industries that are good to pull people from are like any like home service businesses. So like furnace installation companies, window sale companies, roofing. Yeah, those like home sale businesses where people are like going out in the field and like selling door to door type things. Like those,
they'll make great. Yeah,
because they don't make a lot of money in those industries. So when you come to them and you're like, hey, you're going to make, like, if you can close these numbers, you're going to make over 100K a year for sure, maybe 200 plus. Yeah. Like you can get really good talent.
Yeah, some great tips there. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, guys, I hope you caught what Rob said. He says, if you're going to choose between your next hire being on acquisitions or dispositions, pick acquisitions, get a good salesperson, bring them from whatever industry, get a good salesperson. You handle dispo for now. Eventually you'll replace that too. But if you got to pick between the two, you keep dispo.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. The other thing too why I would keep dispo is because you can do all this work on marketing and acquisitions, but if the person on dispo messes up and doesn't sell the deal, all the money you spent, all the work you did, all the expectation you set with the seller, all of that, if you don't sell the deal, how much is it worth?
Yeah, I mean, you lost all of that. I agree, and I also think another reason why dispo is so valuable is because the only way to really know about your deal is when it comes to dispo, because the market will teach you about your deal.
100%.
So if you're close to the cash buyers, then you're going to know very quickly what the market's doing, what they think about your deal, and that information is going to allow you to then readjust on the front end. So now you start buying better, buying deeper, training acquisitions on where we need to be on the numbers. Like that all comes from feedback on dispo.
Yeah.
Nothing teaches you better about the business than the dispo side.
100%. You need a killer closer on dispo. And that would be your next hire. So you start with the VA, then you get an acquisitions manager, just have them finding equity motivation. When they find those, lob them over to you. You're kind of like what I like to call deal desk, where you're the guy setting what we call max allowable offer. Like this is the highest we can go on our offer, and then target dispo price. Okay, so here's the max we're going to pay for it. Here's how much we think we can sell it for. Fire those two numbers back, and they get the contract signed. Fire it back to you, and then you plug it into your dispo software and go sell it. The next thing that I recommend doing is transaction coordination. Everything that happens, you get the contract signed with the buyer, you get the contract signed with the seller. Okay.
You're still not to the finish line.
You're still not to the finish line. There's all these steps, and you got to stay in communication. There's so many noobs that lose deals because they're not in constant communication with their seller.
Yeah.
Or they run into a title issue that they don't know how to solve, or like there's a
cash buyer needs to extend closing, all the things. All
these different things.
Yeah.
So that's where what I recommend is when you're getting rolling, get a transaction coordination company. Because a transaction coordination company will handle all that for you. And that's just busy work. It's not revenue generating. So like David Olds is a guy that does it for a lot of people on InvestorLift. I think it's called easyreiclosings.com. We'll post a link down below.
Okay.
He does it for a lot of the companies that we have. And all he does is he gives you a one-liner that you add to your assignment agreement. It says, buyer will pay Easy REI Closings $500 transaction coordination fee. So it doesn't even cost you any money.
Yeah.
So when you're first getting rolling, you don't have the time to do all the transaction coordination yourself, but you also don't have the money to go hire someone full time.
Right.
So what's the best solution? Get your buyers to pay for it.
Outsource.
And outsource to a transaction coordination company.
So guys, transaction coordinator is just the person that's going to open escrow, work with title, bring the parties together, make sure everybody's happy, bridge all of that, make sure handle paperwork. I mean, I've got to a point now where we just hand we just hand the deal off to the TC and they do the contracts, all of it, because your time is better spent working on another deal than it is filling out paperwork and all the back and forth, and keeping that constant communication so everybody's, stays in line, stays in their lane for closing.
Absolutely. And one thing you'll notice is we get more advanced in this course is we get more advanced. What we actually do is we simplify the business. We simplify, we don't add to it, we subtract. So anything that's not revenue generating, anything that's not necessary, we're just trying to simplify, eliminate anything that is not absolutely necessary.
It's really interesting you say that, because if you think about why that is, like everyone likes to use McDonald's as an example, but the reason why McDonald's is so successful is because they made it so brain dead easy that teenagers can do it.
The 16-year-old can run the McDonald's.
Yeah, if it's overly complicated, now every time somebody leaves, you got to retrain. All of that customization is going to allow you to not scale a business. So that's why even we're moving more and more away from, complicated formulas and all of that, and just trying to make it what is a simple, fast way that my acquisitions people can get to a number, right? And just make this easier, where there is no negotiation involved, or there is no super high skill set needed. Anybody can plug in and do this.
You should, the goal is always here's the mistake people make. They get their first hire and they train them on everything. Here's how to comp deals. Here's how to.
They're doing dispo and acquisitions.
Here's how to do dispo. And guess what? When you do that person, after 12 months, they're gone. They're gone, because they know the whole business A to Z. All they need is a little bit of money for marketing and they're out the door. Huge mistake, but that's number one. But number two, it's super inefficient, because different people are good at different small things. So if you just keep them in their lane, like acquisitions does not need to know how to comp deals. They do not. There should be, if you have, here's the other thing. If you have acquisition managers comping deals, you know what's going to happen to your pricing? It's going to be all over the place.
Because it's subjective.
There's no consistency.
It's subjective. Comping is, that's an art. There's not a lot of science to comping, because you have to hand select properties that you think are most relevant. That's challenging. Like that does not McDonaldize the business. That keeps it high skill set.
One guy, we like to call him deal desk, and that will be you as you first get rolling into that 3 to 5. You will be deal desk, and you're in charge of the pricing decisions. And eventually you will replace that, and you'll have, like, once you get to like a 5-man team, like 2 acquisitions, 2 dispositions, and 1 deal desk. Then deal desk becomes a full-time role. But you don't need that yet when you're just trying to get to 3 to 5 a month.
And guys, what we're talking about here, is very contradictory to a lot of the things that I've taught. A lot of my YouTube channel, Rob, I teach, here's how you comp. Here's the rules for comping. Let me give you examples. Watch me do it. Here's how run the formulas. Learn how to look at value and understand value. All of that. Nothing's wrong with any of that. It's not like that's not an okay thing to do. This series is specifically about how to scale a $1 million a month business. You cannot be comping every single offer you make if you're doing $1 million a month business. None of the guys or girls in the industry that are doing that type of numbers are comping properties. So if you're there right now and that's how you're running it, okay. But what we're trying to help you do is look at this business from a completely different perspective than how most people teach it, even me, because most of the time when I'm teaching it from a perspective of deal, or or doing a couple deals, or just getting you from where you are to the next step. This series is meant to be for people who really want to start where you're at and get to the top performing levels of this industry.
Absolutely.
As we're talking and sharing, I know we're going to get comments that say, well, that's not what you said before, or that's not, what do you mean don't use the ARV formula or whatever? What I'm saying now is this series is dedicated to massive scale. And the only way you scale on a big level is you simplify more and more and more.
And it's evolved. Like, when we were first getting rolling, we were using 70% ARV minus repairs across the board, nationwide. Bit us in the ass so bad. Right. So we discovered, we can't, there's different factors that that go into it. And so what's interesting too is like a lot of this new like high scale, high growth strategies that have emerged, they've only emerged in the last 2-3 years.
For me, I think one of the biggest game changers is the big platforms like Zillow, Realtor.com, and Redfin, really investing in their algorithms to establish value and be accurate about it.
Absolutely.
Like it used to be the biggest joke in the world, the Zillow number. Like everyone joked about it. It was funny. It wasn't. They were never even close. Now they publish their accuracy rates, and they're within percentages.
Yeah.
A couple percentages of accuracy. That changes everything now.
Yeah.
Like that's just so different than how we've done things in the past.
Absolutely. Today is the easiest time in the history of the world to start a wholesaling business, and by the way, I think a wholesaling business, if you're a good communicator and you understand marketing and sales, starting out in wholesaling is the easiest way in America to become a millionaire.
You guys hear that?
I don't think there's any other way. Like
I haven't seen a model. I haven't seen a model better than that. With low overhead, low capital investments.
You don't need an education. You don't need
quick turnaround on ROI. Like most industries, it's 2 or 3 years to break even. All these stats, right? That's normal businesses.
I think about it. You build like a restaurant or something. You go hundreds of thousands of dollars in. All this physical infrastructure.
Buying franchises, you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they tell you maybe you'll break even by year 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like what? No, we're making money on month 1 in wholesaling if we start to do this right, Yeah. So again, keep that perspective as we go through this. So let me kind of paraphrase what you've broken down on this video, Rob. Going from starting to intermediate. In intermediate, we're defining as like the 3 to 5 deals a month. It's a consistent process now that's getting results. You got to first do proof of concept, get that first deal. That's going to allow you now to mentally move into doing more deals. You've got to replace your job, right? Replace your income is priority number 1 once you've proven that proof of concept. That doesn't happen overnight because maybe you got to get some more deals in. You had mentioned reinvesting half or as much as you can back into the business. That's going to propel you to the next deals.
Yeah.
Keep reinvesting like that until you're starting to hit that consistency. Then level 3 or step 3 then would be replacing yourself. So that's talking about your first hire, your second hire, your third hire, right? Typically it's a VA or 2 VAs, acquisitions, and then maybe disposition. At that point, you're primed now to go to the big leagues, aren't you?
Yes.
Now, maybe you need to prove that out and develop those people and develop those processes a little bit. But going from the 1 to, let's say, the 5 a month, now going from the 5 a month to the 10, 15, 20 a month, you've got a roadmap now, and those jumps can happen very quickly with just some small tweaks. And that's exciting.
Absolutely.
And we're going to do another video where we're going to talk about how to go from intermediate to then advanced or pro level and kind of what that looks like, because I think that's part of this progression in this series. But guys, just so you know, if you're not part of InvestorLift or you don't know what InvestorLift is, Rob has created, he's the owner and founder of InvestorLift. It is a nationwide marketplace for where cash buyers are buying deals. The top wholesalers in the country are on this platform, and some of the best deals anywhere in the market are on InvestorLift. So if you're a wholesaler and you want to be on the InvestorLift platform, put your properties on there. There's a link below where you can learn about how to do that. If you're not able to get into the platform because it's not for new wholesalers necessarily, it's for active wholesalers who are really doing deals, then you can also dispo through me. You can submit your deals to me. I'm a cartel level member of InvestorLift, which is, there's only 50 in the entire country. It's the highest level. That gives me access to over 4 million active cash buyers nationwide. So you can actually move your deals. We'll dispo them through the InvestorLift platform and JV with you. So I'll put a link below for that as well. Awesome if you're new, don't have a big cash buyer list, and want to get your deals moved. Now they have to be deals, so we do vet them. We're not going to put stuff on the platform that's not going to move quickly or be a good deal. So that's important. And third thing I want to tell you is be sure to follow Rob and everything that he's doing. I'm going to put his social media below, Instagram and YouTube and stuff, so that you can get in his world and see some of the amazing things that he's doing and sharing. And I'm grateful, Rob, to be your friend now, that we're doing a business together. And it's just amazing for me to be networking and collaborating with someone on such a high level in this industry. So again, thank you for all that you do. And guys, if you haven't, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.